Hello folks, welcome to Canal Channel Jose. Today we're going to give you an idea how to replace the power steering pump on a 1978 to 1979 Ford Bronco. And this is for a 6.6 engine. We have the part ready to go. So we're going to give you an idea how you can do this. If your Ford system looks like this, it can help you. So that way you can just get the right power steering pump and you can do the replacement. So that way you don't have to take it to shops and pay a lot of money for it. And with that said, let's jump right into it. So here it is, a part number from True Grade for this Ford, and we bought it at AutoZone because that's where we get some of the parts because the quickness and if it goes so bad, we can just take it in and we have lifetime warranty on this. So there's the whole unit. It costs about $60. So now we just take it, start putting it in. So here is our new power steering pump. We have to change the pulley from that to this, but to take that old one out, we are going to be draining all that oil out of there or as much as we can. So to do this job, what we're going to be doing is we're going to loosen all the bolts that hold the power steering pump against the bracket, and we're going to take the belt off. And then once we do that, we're going to be doing the high line, the high pressure line, and then the low pressure line, which it has a clamp on the bottom. So first, let's take the belt off. So this is about how the power steering pump is sits in there. So it has 3 bolt-on points, 1, 2, 3, and it has a pulley, and this is where and it has a shaft where the pulley attaches to, and this is the high line attaching point, and then this is the return line. So we're gonna be losing 3 9/16 bolts to loosen the adjustment to the belt, so we can take the belt off and we can work the power steering pump back and forth as we need to take the hoses off. Loosen 1, 2, 3 9/16 bolts, so we can loosen this tension here on this long bolt, and then we can actually take the belt off. So what we've been doing is we've been loosening this bolt, extracting it so it doesn't push and pulls the bracket outwards. So we loosen it so the bracket drops and the pulley gets closer to the engine, and then we can take the belt off. So we're loosening, as you can see, we got slack. So now we have taken the belt off. You have the pulley by itself. Now we have to take out the high pressure line off, and to do that, we're going to be using a tubing wrench, which is for in our case is a 5/8. So we're going to be taking this right here. So for this procedure, we put a pan to catch all the oil drops or comes out of the pump while we're taking it off, so we don't make a mess on the floor. So now we have to take the little clamp off or loosen it so we can take the hose off, because that's a return line to the power steering pump. So we have removed this high line from this power steering, and it came off with the fitting that is attached to the power steering pump. So we're gonna have to take that off from that line, and now we have to remove the power steering return line that goes into this nipple. Be careful with that because you can break this easily, so you don't want to twist it around or move it too much. So we got to take it off from there to transfer it to this one. But we have taken this one off. This one is a main one. You want the pump to be solid while you're taking or loosening these off. So now we have done that, and that's loose over there. The clamp for the return line. We take off the bracket completely off the motor bracket, and then we can bring it up and start working that hose off of it. Now that we have removed the power steering pump from the bracket on the engine, we still got a bracket on. So now we gotta remove the hose down there so we can pull it out of the engine compartment, and we can start working on removing the bracket and everything off of the power steering pump. So here's the old power steering pump. We have to take out the bracket. We're gonna have to press out the pulley and put it on this one. So here it is how we're removing this pulley from this. As you can see, there's so much stuff behind it, like the bolts. So we're taking that pulley off by using this method, because we cannot use our press due to the space limited here, and we don't want to bend it. So we're grabbing it from that groove, and we're pressing the shaft, and we're pulling that pulley out. So hopefully this works. So let's see how we do. So now here's the power steering pump, the old one. We're gonna take the bracket off, and then here's the the pulley that we need for the new power steering pump. So take the bracket off, take that off from there, and we are gonna start pressing it into the new power steering pump. So here's the pulley that we're gonna put into the new power steering pump. So before we start pressing the pulley back into the new power steering pump, what we're going to be doing is we got to transfer the bracket to the new power steering pump and then tying it down, and then we can start working on pressing the pulley into it. But for now, we start taking this one out and transfer it. So we're gonna be cleaning it, but the sequence for this bracket is that this one has to be bolted like that. So the tie down point or the adjustment is in an angle with the feed in for the fluid or the opening for the reservoir. So it goes like this. So now we clean this a little bit and then we put it on. So now what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna put the bracket on, and we're gonna put some medium strength Loctite into those bolts so they don't come loose, because with the vibration and long run, uh, if they come loose, then the power steering pump is going to be moving around. So we don't want that. So now we're about to put the pulley back on. And what we're going to be doing, this is threaded right inside. So we're going to put a bolt, and we're going to be, as we tighten the bolt, is going to push the pulley in. So this needs to come flush to this point. So it's threaded in here. So we're going to show you how we do that. So what we're doing is we're getting a bolt that with a big nut that is gonna grab the pulley, and as we tighten it down and it bottoms out, it's gonna start pulling the pulley down, and then once it bottoms out, we'll take this one out and we'll put a shorter bolt to keep going and keep on pulling down the pulley into the shaft. So now, until this shaft gets even with the pulley, that's when we're gonna stop. So we keep going with a shorter bolt now. And if you only have one bolt that fits that thread and is only one length, you just add spacers to it so you make shorter the threads. So that way you can keep pulling the pulley down into the shaft. So as you can see, it's getting in there, but we gotta use an impact gun now. So now we're pushing the pulley, or we're compressing the pulley with a bolt, but it's getting tougher and tougher because there's more surface and more friction. So now for this pulley, so it doesn't spin as we spin the bolt, we grab it with a vice grips from the lip, and then we're gonna put the impact and turn this so it pulls the shaft through and it pushes that pulley into it. So the vice grips are just to hold this from spinning. We can't grab it by hand because we're gonna crush our fingers. So we're gonna put this, tighten the vice grips, and then so we can keep on pushing that pulley into the shaft. So now as we are making the adjustments, we put a thicker spacer. We have a couple threads grabbing on. So when we put the impact, it doesn't rip the threads out. So we put it on. And now we keep tightening this bolt so it pushes the pulley in and the shaft through. So we're squeezing it into it. So the vice grips, like we said, we're just grabbing it, so keeping it from turning. So now let's continue doing that. We're almost there. We just need to pull the pulley a little bit farther in, so we're almost flush here. So now we're flush here. So now we can start installing our power steering pump into our Bronco. So now to connect the power steering pump to the lines or the hoses, we have to, the old power steering pump adapter or fitting is in here. Take this off, and then we're gonna change the O-ring that is in there so we can start putting it into the new one. And this was what was left in there that shouldn't be on the line, so we took it off now. This is from the old power steering pump. This power steering line has a O-ring here that we're gonna take off and replace, because we don't want any leaks because of this old O-ring. I'm gonna replace that. Now we have our O-rings kit, and we are looking for something like this, and we have it right here. So we're gonna get one of those and install it into the line. So we have a fresh O-ring starting on that point as well. So one thing we're gonna be doing is we're gonna replace this hose as well, because it's dry and it's spinning on the line. So we're gonna take care of this as well now that we're in here. So now here we have the old hose that was there. It's all hard and dried out, and this one is looks like the same diameter on the hose readings, but this one, as you can see, is just widened out, and it's not tightening anymore. So we're gonna put a new piece of hose. So now we have put the new hose in there for the return line. What we're gonna be doing now is put our power steering pump bracket in here, just gonna and put the hose into it, put the power steering into the bracket, and then start lining up this fitting into it, so then we can start putting everything back together. So also one thing we have done is we improved the clamps from these skinny and tiny ones to this bigger, same almost same diameter, but it's just wider and more band, and the bolt or screw is thicker and bigger, so it won't break off as easy. So this is more, this can prevent leaks or can do some more tightening than the smaller one. So as you can see, we already put the hose into the power steering pump, the clamp on, tightening it, the bottom one as well. Now we have left is the high pressure line. We just line it up, start tightening it, and then we come back over here, and then we can start doing the adjustments on the belt and tightening everything down. For this O-ring, what we can do is with one finger, we just grab a little bit of power steering oil, any kind of oil, we rub it on the O-ring. So when we slide it right into the fitting that needs to go in, it slides in and it doesn't damage itself. So then we can tighten it. So now we haven't tightened that completely down because it keeps moving. So we're gonna put the bolts here, put the belt on, do the adjustments, tighten everything down, and then we can come back and finish this tightening here of this fitting. So now we have tightening the adjustment on the belt. We have done that by pushing this, tightening in this bolt, and it pulls the bracket outwards. So now we can completely tighten this bracket down, and then we can come back here and tighten this fitting so we can start adding the fluid into it. So we're done with the replacement. Here it is, a new power steering pump with a pulley. We transfer the pulley from that old one to the new one, and we connected all the hoses, and we put a new hose, new O-rings. We're gonna be adding fluid to it, get the system to work again. There's the old one, it was trash. There's more to do to this truck, but we wanted to start with a power steering because we can't turn this truck right now, it's so heavy. So now we have filled it up, and we're going to rotate the engine so the pulley moves the pump, and that way we can start seeing if that level drops, and we can fill it up to the level. So now we have rotated the engine, and the liquid's still the same. There's no leakage anywhere. So we're gonna use the power steering by turning our wheel, so then we can start moving the fluid around, and then see if that drops, and if there's any leaks that come up. But so far everything looks good. So as you can see, we have replaced the power steering pump. We put everything together. Now we have filled up the power steering fluid to the level, and now we just cover it up, clean around a little bit. We had a pan on the bottom to capture anything that will drop. So now that with that, we put this cover back on, and we're ready for the next component that we have to replace. So now we got the old power steering pump out, and this is damaged, is bad. So now with the new one, we're gonna be able to drive our truck with no problem. So The part about this is that get the right part, take your time, and you can do that replacement yourself, and that way you can save a lot of money, so you can invest it on something else in your car. So with that said, folks, for friends who are watching our video, haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. If you like a video, give us thumbs up, share it, and we'll see you soon with more videos here in el canal, El Chano Jose.